Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to this week's edition of The Hot Seat. I am in the hot seat with my boy, Taylor Made Speaks. Taylor, what's up, man? What's up?
What's going on? I am having a fantastic day. And you know what? There was nothing special about the day, but I'm breathing, I'm living, I have life.
Come
And
on
not
now.
only that, guess what? And I get to see some of the stuff that we're going to be talking about on today.
Period. Period. But before we get started, everybody hop in. As you're hopping in, go ahead, let somebody else know that you're in the hot seat with myself and my boy Taylor Made Speaks. He is in the building. We are doing the dang thing in the hot seat. And listen, we'll have some public service announcements later on in the year. But for right now, we in this thing, okay? So we have a great conversation in store for you tonight. So tune in, tap in, stay plugged in for the hour. I'm telling you, it's gonna go by fast, and we always have a fantastic conversation about relationships. Period. That's what we talk about. Relationships. For this particular show, that's what we talk about. But today, I want to talk about some current events. Taylor, have you heard of the Goon Squad in Mississippi?
Have I heard of the what?
The Goon Squad.
No.
There is an unfortunate thing going on in the state of Mississippi. And I know some of you guys may be familiar with it or not, but there were two men of color that were assaulted by six police officers. They're scheduled to be sentenced, I want to say in November. But the incident took place a while back, and they called themselves the Goon Squad. And these particular gentlemen, unfortunately, they had been targeting men of color
Mm,
and doing horrible things to them. So they are being brought to justice. They all pled guilty.
good.
Fortunately, I think that's the first time in history that I've ever seen the law enforcement officials actually plead guilty to a specific crime. And so their sentences are looking at upwards of almost 600 years between the six of them.
Oh, wow.
Bananas, dude. Absolutely freaking bananas. 600 years. It was horrible. You have to look it up. It's the Goon Squad. You guys have got to look that up. It was something that made all kinds of new. Matter of fact, this particular case went global. Some stuff stays stateside, but this particular case actually went global. It was
Mm,
all over the world. People were talking about this specific case, and I just said to myself, this is, I think in my mind's eye, we live in America, Taylor. This is the year 2023. Things like this should not exist.
I agree.
It should not exist in any regard. And in other news, it's hot as hell in Texas. So, in the literal sense, the temperatures have reached upwards of 104 degrees. Okay.
Mhm.
And we have had no rain as though we exist in the desert. When I say no rain, I mean not a drop
In Texas.
in Texas.
Hmm. Well,
Bitch,
it's been raining on and off here.
Taylor, we've not seen the rain. The only rain that we've received is from our water hoses. The end.
Well,
Nothing else.
that's crazy.
Absolutely bananas.
Well, you need some water.
You know what? I think I need somebody to help pay my water bill. That's all I need. I need a co-compensator to help me pay my water bill. That's all I need. I just need somebody to help me pay my water bill. I don't need nothing else. Just send a water bill donation and an electric bill donation, because you know that electric and the water go hand in hand. So I'm just saying. I'm just saying. So, anywho, now that we got all of that out of the way, we talked about, well, we didn't really talk about, but I made the announcement about what's going on in current events. Let's get to the thick of this conversation tonight,
Yeah.
Taylor, because this is something that we need to talk about. Taylor, you already know I did my research and we already kind of chatted about it just briefly. Narcissist or needy? What are you really dealing with?
Hmm. Hey,
Is that not a loaded? Is that not a loaded question?
that is a
Narcissist
loaded
or needy? What are you really dealing with?
that's a loaded question. And I think go ahead. Before I say anything, I'll let you go. Go ahead.
I ain't got nothing
You
to
want me to
say.
go in? I'll jump into it.
Go.
Okay. Well, I think and I'll say this. I remember when I started. Remember when we were on Clubhouse and
Yep.
you hear a lot of relationships and they're talking about he's a narcissist, he's a narcissist, she's a narcissist. You
Right.
have to understand something to the viewers that are watching. This trend, because I call it a trend because it was all over TikTok and they were doing different memes and what
Mhm.
have you, really spiked during the Trump era, former
Very
President
true.
Trump. Okay.
Very true.
And that's when that whole narcissist word, I'm not saying that's when it was created. We all know that we had
Right.
narcissists before that,
Right.
but that when this whole uh, uh, how should I put it, trend happened on social media and it just
Mhm.
became big and he's a narcissist, misogynist, and all this stuff. Okay, great. Now, one thing that we can all agree on is that um, unless you are a professional that
Mhm.
can diagnose someone
Mhm.
of being a narcissist, that's the only way you can say the person is a narcissist.
Correct.
and
Correct.
so, and so you
But
might,
why? But why? Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Stop right there.
mhm,
If that's the case,
yep.
why are we throwing the term around like dirty laundry? Why are we so obsessed with that term? It's like everywhere you turn or everywhere you look, somebody's hollering about, oh, like you said. So why has this become, why are we so obsessed with it? Are,
Well,
are we are we needy in that regard?
I think that we're needy to have uh, a reason why a person behave a certain way and it didn't work out.
Mm,
Um, I think that we have people that are diagnosing each other every single day,
mhm.
and really are not even medical doctors or even in the medical field.
Right.
I think that there are some behaviors that are similar to narcissism, but it's not. I think that there are some people that have certain characters
Mhm.
that might be authoritative, but that doesn't mean that they're a narcissist.
True.
I think let's talk about what we're discussing today. Somebody being needy, just because a person might want you to contact them before you leave the house, before you make it in the house, that doesn't mean that they're a narcissist. It could be from childhood upbringing. Maybe they lost both their parents.
Mhm.
Maybe they want to make sure that you made it okay,
Mhm.
right? So I mean, we can't just go around saying people are narcissism because there's a need that somebody
Mhm.
wants to be fulfilled, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
Why don't we say, oh, I want to have sex every day, that mean I'm a narcissist? Come on.
Right. And then too, there's another factor. You brought up upbringing. There's another key element to the behavior, and that is the fact that the person's culture dictates this as normalcy. Okay.
Absolutely.
So I have a friend who is one of my closest friends. She is Nigerian, right? Hold on one second, Taylor. My computer's doing something crazy. She's Nigerian, okay?
Yes.
And we were having a candid conversation about love and relationships. We were talking about it and she said, "Well, Nigerian men are very demanding. They require A, B, C, D, E, F, G, right?" And I said to her, and that's what sparked this conversation. I said to her, "Well, in America, that would be a narcissist." Based on, what she was saying. She was talking about how no, typically they want you to do this and that and that. She started talking, rattling off all these different certain things. And she is Nigerian. Her and her husband have been married for like 20 years. They came to the States about maybe 15 years ago or something. But she was saying it's normal in our culture. So when you come here, it's judged versus when we're back home in her city, she was like, this is well received and accepted because this is how we were reared. I think oftentimes we start setting these wheels in motion about certain things that, like you said, we perceive, which are not real, but it's perceived. And we don't ask enough questions to identify, is this really what I am perceiving it to be versus it being reality? You know what I'm saying? Like this doesn't, just because I make an assumption about something, it doesn't mean that it's true. It doesn't mean that it's true at all in any regard.
No,
It's my perception of it. Doesn't mean that it's real. So when you think about it from that perspective, it's like you've got to do some more digging to identify the reality of what it is you're actually dealing with. Because it could be that the person, like you said, the person could just have specific traits that align with what clinically states a person is a narcissist. However, just because I have certain patterns of behavior that align with that, it does not dictate that that's who I am. And as you mentioned before, there has to be a clinical diagnosis to define if in fact that's true. Because people, I mean, like I've heard that word so much now, Taylor, like it's almost like it's second nature when somebody dealing with somebody, and you know this, you toxic bae, people
yeah,
dealing with somebody and they say that, oh, yeah, they was a narcissist and da 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 da. And it's like, well, what did they do that was so horrific that you came up with this conclusion? And everybody, it based on the definition of a narcissist, everybody's a narcissist.
100%. And see, and that's another thing. Absolutely, everyone has at least one trait of narcissistic behavior. Now,
Correct.
it might not be at a high range.
Right.
Might not be at a high range, a low range. Let's peel the onion. Most people that's in leadership position have narcissistic traits.
Correct.
It's stemming from the president of the United States,
Hmm.
from the
Hmm.
prime minister,
Hmm.
from government officials, what have you, because those traits
They
is
help sustain those type positions. But, like,
absolutely
some of that stuff it's gonna be imperative that they have certain type traits in order to address what they're gonna have to deal with. I mean, can you freaking imagine? I mean, I can. Can you really grasp in your mind being a leader of the free world and you not be have some type of narcissistic something in
well,
order to address it?
well, first of all, the funny thing that some people is aware of is that most of these leadership position is not driven by money. You
Of course, it's
they don't
driven
need
by
Hillary.
power.
Let's just call it what it is. Barack Obama, Joe Biden, Hillary Clinton. These people don't need money to be in these positions.
Correct.
It's power and authority. Okay,
Right.
so whether you are a Trump supporter or a Barack Obama supporter,
Mhm.
one thing that they have in common is leadership. Right
Right.
now, however they lead, that's for you to define. Right,
Correct.
but one thing that I can say is that all of them have a common denominator and have a narcissistic trait somewhere there that you can
Mhm.
point out. And not only that,
And it's
go ahead, go
obvious,
ahead.
Taylor, and it's obvious. They're not trying to hide it. They're
No,
not trying to sugarcoat it. They like, "Look, this is it right here." And bam, in your face.
hundred
Even
percent.
even people say that Joe Biden is passive, right? A lot of people say, "Oh, he's so passive." Da, da, da. That's a trait too.
Absolutely. And not only that, we only see in what we see in the front, right? Behind the scenes,
Correct.
it's no
Correct.
different. It's no different than a narcissist, right? Remember, they show you how great they are on camera, in a public setting, what
Mhm.
have you, right? They're
Mhm.
lovable. But
Mhm.
behind the scenes, right? They
Mhm.
play no games. Behind the scenes, Oprah Winfrey played no games. Behind the scene, Ellen DeGeneres played no games. You have heard it
Correct.
over and over how behind the scenes with some of these people from Apple. Remember him from
Right.
Apple?
Right.
And these different
Matter of fact, it was a big before Steve Jobs passed away, it was a big issue about him being a narcissist. Big,
100%.
big issue about him being. It was like so many people were like, this dude is so self-absorbed. Well, first of all, dude, this guy, let me just say this. I would be self-absorbed too if I created a product that the entire free world can use, the entire free
Well, first of all, you have to believe in yourself.
world? Period.
I'm sorry. You have to believe in yourself. No one else
Right,
is believing in you,
right.
because at that time, when just like you have I forgot the gentleman's name from Facebook, um, during that
Oh,
Mike
Mark
Zuckerberg,
Zuckerberg?
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
during that start, during that initial start, no
Mhm.
one believes in you. So how do you pump yourself up to say,
Right,
you know what
right,
I have is the
mhm,
bomb.com, and
right,
I don't care if no one believes in me, but what I have is what you need at this moment
right,
right now. How do
right.
you think a person go
Yeah,
forward with that mindset? You think they
yeah,
just sit there and say, you know
yeah.
what? Well, I hope everybody. No, they don't
Dude,
care what you think.
dude, if
They
Napoleon Hill was living right now, he'd definitely be a narcissist, according to what people say, right? Then you talk about the guy that wrote the book, The Magic of Believing. This dude was talking about, and you know what's funny? When he talked about these specific traits of certain people able to overcome insurmountable odds, right? These people are standing in mirrors, talking themselves, I mean, like talking into themselves as though they're a god. Of course, little g, of course. So they're talking to themselves and they're giving themselves such a hype that dude, they're starting to believe that they're invincible. And they're doing it by what they're saying to themselves. Is that wrong? Is it something you shouldn't be doing? No. I think that we have just gotten so absorbed with attempting to judge other people that we forget to take a self-reflective look at who we are, how we behave, and how people respond to us. How are we engaging people? How are we doing relationally? How are we, treating other people, right? So recently somebody called me a narcissist, right? And I told the person, I said, "You're probably right." I said, "You're probably right." I said, "But I have not sought medical advice to determine if what you're saying is accurate." And I said, "I don't think they can medicate me to make me different. So if you perceive me to be a narcissist, so in your mind's eye, that's who I am. I'm not gonna try to dispel that in your head. That's in your head, and ain't no need me fighting what's in your head. Period."
Yeah, it's so funny. I was gonna say, welcome to the club, right?
Yeah, for
Um,
real. Like, I mean, people are so bold now,
yeah,
Taylor. They will literally just come out and say stuff. And I said, a narcissist. I've been called a lot of things, but I've never been called a narcissist. And
yeah,
I just sat there and I thought about it, and I was like, I can't dispel the myth in your head. I'm not gonna try to go back and forth with you about how you perceive me. And if it and you could very well be right. Not saying that the person is right. However, if like you said, if there's not somebody who is a medical professional who has a degree and they got it, matter of fact, if you go to somebody, it's not going to be determined in the first visit anyway. It's going to be several visits for them to determine who you are or who you are not. And then secondly, I don't have to believe what you say that I am because you say that's what I am. I don't
yeah.
have to buy that.
No, I think most entrepreneurs could be looked at such, and the
Oh,
reason why,
abso-freaking-lutely.
yeah, is because of a certain drive that you have to have as being a successful entrepreneur. You have to believe in yourself and your own product. You have to do, some of us have to do our own marketing. And so that kind of determination and structure and discipline can really have somebody look at you like you're self-absorbed. It's all about you and your product. It's right, because
Absolutely.
they don't understand that kind of um, 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 how should I put it, focus, ability, and what have you,
Correct.
right? And
Correct.
so, yeah, people would just brush it off and say, "Oh, they're full of themselves. They're a narcissist. Oh, they
Mhm.
make flyers of themselves or whatever," which is just complete ignorance. But at the end of the day,
Oh,
one thing,
wait a minute, Taylor. Hold on a second. Rhonda says some people are intimidated by confidence, so they call it narcissism. I
hundred
was
percent,
thinking the same. I was literally, that was going to be the next words that came out of my mouth, is that somebody can say, and then people, like you said, when you're talking about people who have gotten to that place where they it's irrefutable that they believe what they believe, right? They're going to have a level of confidence that's going to appear cocky because a belief system in themselves is so freaking high.
it's so high. Yeah, it's you know it, it's but you have to be that way, and that's
Mhm,
the thing. I mean, if your belief system is to the floor,
mhm.
you're not going to make it anywhere.
And you know what? Even in the Bible, King David said, I encourage myself.
100%. I mean, you have to. I
Was
mean,
he a narcissist? Ah! Look, the fact that he may have been a little, he may have been a little,
yeah,
Solomon was definitely,
but you know
based
what's so
on this
funny?
modern day time, Solomon was definitely one.
No, absolutely, and it's so funny. I have to remind the Americans that's out there, including myself, but that
Taylor, you're not an American.
about
But go ahead,
about
Taylor.
30 about
Go
hey,
ahead.
I play, right? I go back and forth.
Correct. Yeah.
But
You're British when you want to be, you're American when you want to
one thing that I gotta say, remember back in a couple years,
be. Mhm.
right? When I think women what wasn't working, right? And men were the breadwinner. Remember those days?
Mhm.
There, if you was to look at some of those days now,
Mhm.
because a lot of women are independent and they have their own business, education, or what have you. You can look at that and say, "Oh, I was in a narcissistic relationship," um,
True.
and so I just want to convey that because times have changed. If you're
Mhm.
playing it against each other,
Mhm.
yeah, anybody can fit and say, "You know what? Oh, I couldn't work back in the day." Well, because back in the day, men were taking care of women. Women were at home
Correct.
taking care of the kids.
Correct.
It's not that they were trying to keep you chained in the
Right.
house. It was
Right.
just what it is.
It
So
was the order of the day.
100%. So
Yeah.
now if women meet guys like that,
Mhm.
then immediately they're gonna say, "Oh, this guy's trying to this,"
You remember
or
you remember
or
Taylor
women.
when Clubhouse was like really, really
Oh my
popping,
God.
they would have rooms with, I'm not gonna call these people's names, but specific celebrities would get in these rooms and they would have these same dialogues and conversations that we're having right now.
Yep.
And they would just sway the audience in one direction or the other in regards to that. And I have heard several people say, yeah, yeah, because oh yeah, absolutely. Oh yeah, if he wants you to do this and that, oh, he's definitely a narcissist.
That's crazy.
What does that have to do? Everybody's, this is why it is so imperative that we get away from the labeling mentality and just let people be who they are. And if it doesn't work for you, dissolve it and move on. That's all you got. That's the bigger picture. If this person doesn't work for you, you don't like their mannerisms, you don't like their behavior, you don't
Yes.
like the way they carry themselves, you don't have to label them. Leave. Forget the label, leave. And that way, that person can be free to identify somebody who is good with who they are. somebody's going to enjoy that person, and they're going to be fine with those patterns of behavior that you call defects, because it's not going to be defective for somebody else. It's defective for you.
Yep.
Doesn't mean that they're defective for everybody, because people that are, as defined narcissists, they're, like I said, narcissists or needy. It's almost the line is so blurred that it's almost invisible, because a lot of the behavior is parallel. It's super similar. So you could be dealing with somebody who just has a lot of neediness. They're just that type of individual that they require, and I don't even know if we want to call it needy. More so of them requiring these certain things of you. If you don't want to do it, don't.
100%. And so, you know what I realize? Some people don't even, they're not used to structure. You
Correct.
can say, well, majority of the military is narcissists because
Correct.
they have structure. No, it's
Right.
just we like things a certain way, right?
Right. Right.
And it really takes somebody that understand that kind of lifestyle to be able to adapt to that. And this goes for men and women, because I
Mhm.
I had female friends in the military that said, hey, some of these guys can't adapt to my structure and what I like.
Right.
And and you might look at that and say, you know what, that person's a narcissist. No, it's not. It's not. How can you say that? Where's the proof? Where's the documentation? Now, I was gonna say on the other side, yes, there are people out there that have narcissistic traits, what have you,
Mhm.
and it's very dangerous. And I
Mhm.
don't condone that behavior. And I encourage you to seek help, right? Because I deal with some of these people that will call me in confidence or reach out to me in confidence, right?
Mhm.
But we cannot go around, like you said, is calling people these names just because I don't know, you're hurt, right?
Right.
Or or you want to lash back out. But
Right.
you know what? Some people feel good. Some people feel good. You know what's so funny? And that's why I've always been the person to ask, what would have you, what when I would engage with women, and they have left their last relationship, and they might call them certain things. I would always ask them, what would you have done differently in that
Mhm.
relationship?
Mhm.
um Positive, not, oh, I would have left earlier or sooner. What would have you? Because the one thing that I can say is that when I would talk to people that's in toxic relationships,
Mhm.
um a lot of times I've found out throughout that process that they have contributed a lot of
Mhm.
things
Mhm.
that triggered that kind of environment.
Mhm.
Whether from childhood, whether how their the environment that they was raised in, what have you.
Mhm.
And sometimes the narcissistic traits are more in the person that's asking for help than the actual person that they're complaining about.
Mm. That's true. That makes sense. You know something? And then let's talk about the needy person. Let's
Yeah,
talk about that person.
yeah.
Um, I did some, you know me, I gotta do my research, right? So I'm gonna put on don't laugh, Taylor, because I'm about to put my specs on. Don't laugh. It's not funny. There they are. All right.
I thought you was gonna have like some fashion glasses.
These are fashion.
Oh, I
Are
can't
you
see.
serious right now? Don't let me
Maybe you
don't
need
let
to
me
put.
go pull up. Don't make me go pull up some more. I got plenty. Go Taylor, please don't make me do it. Don't make me go for more class. I will do it. Um, so I pulled up some stuff, and I thought about this, about being needy and how it can adversely affect your relationship. So on average, this is on average. This is not everybody. So before I start calling out this information, okay, I want y'all to know that this is not everybody, okay? But it's somebody, okay? It's not everybody, but it's somebody, okay? So, a person that pushes for habitual conversation, extreme amounts of conversation, where they always want you calling, texting, something like that, where it's just it's over the top as far as communicating. Okay, that's a needy individual. All
Absolutely.
right,
Yeah.
that's one telltale sign that you're dealing with somebody that's needy. Another telltale sign is they want you in their presence all the time when you're not taking care of other things, or when you don't have other responsibilities. Then a person that is needy, oftentimes they have a tendency to show signs of jealousy, right? They don't want you to invest too much time over here, there, or wherever. They have some traits that show signs of them being jealous. Okay. Now, some people, Taylor, they find that attractive. They find it appealing, and they think it's sexy. I think it's toxic bay heightened, if you will. If somebody wants you in their face all the time, that is not healthy. That is definitely needy. And that's something that you need to consider. If somebody is like, oh, I mean, I'm not talking about periodically. I'm talking about a person that is consistently asking for you to be in their face. All right. Another thing is they have they're very, very sensitive when it comes to correction, redirecting certain behaviors or whatever. They're extremely sensitive. So it's very challenging to actually communicate with them about their specific patterns of behavior. So these are different traits of an individual that you're dealing with that is needy. Let me ask you something, Taylor. If you are with a person and they display some of those characteristics, and if they have all of these other positive characteristics that you're intrigued or interested in, right? How does a person move forward with that individual if they see the value in the relationship, even though the individual is needy?
Sometimes you can't. I think that for me,
Taylor, the viewers want that's not what the view, but go ahead.
yeah, no, sometimes you can't. No, sometimes you can't. I mean, the thing is that the individual have to, we always say you have to get help. You have to get help. You have to get help.
Hmm.
My thing is this: they want reassurance from somewhere,
Hmm.
and it's beyond you. And so, if we can't pinpoint why they need the reassurance, and here's the thing, and not only that, we can't um, pinpoint the change also, because you can pinpoint the reassurance. Oh, my mom abandoned me. True story. I'm not saying for me, but
Hmm. Hmm.
somebody I know, their mother abandoned them.
Hmm.
Until they fix that and want to fix that, it's never going to change. So in result of that, that individual was acting out on their spouse.
Oh,
Um,
what you mean acting out?
Acting out, like accusing them when they don't pick up the phone, or
Oh,
what, right? And that became an issue. It got better. It got better. However, I don't know if it got fixed.
okay.
See, the thing is, yeah,
Better and
things
fixed are two different things for sure.
absolutely. So my thing is this: yes, you meet somebody, you realize these things are present, right?
Mhm,
I think you have to make a decision,
mhm,
not them. You have to make the decision if you want to go through that with them, or not.
mhm,
Um, I remember for me, when I met somebody that I saw certain patterns,
mhm,
um, that I nipped it in the butt,
mhm,
quick, fast, and a hurry,
mhm,
and then it kind of shift the dynamic of the relationship, or me getting to know the person, and then we departed, and I was okay with that because I
mhm,
knew that there was some more stuff that need to be unraveled. Um, but that's my choice if I want to go through that or not. And it's not, oh, Taylor, that's mean why you didn't go through it with them. Well, but that's my choice to choose. I don't
Mhm,
have to do that. Just like you don't have to go through somebody's pain that they have experienced in life, right?
mhm.
But if you choose to, then that's okay. And but the thing is, they need professional. Your auntie, your grandma, your mama can't cure what they have experienced through their life.
That's true.
um so to answer your question, is number one, they have to want to do
Mhm,
it.
mhm.
um and number two, they have to take action. Like, Coffee, we
And
could
they have
talk about this.
to believe that
One
there is something that they need help for.
one
Can't
hundred
be
percent.
can't be my opinion, that I'm channel, that I'm basically my brain, I can't think of the word right now.
And then
Um,
you have all the
you know
things
what
you
I'm
got to
saying.
think of, years, right?
Right,
If you're, and people might say, well, I'm just telling you like it is. If
right.
it's somebody in their early years, yeah, it's kind of a little easier for them to reprogram. But if it's
Mhm.
somebody in their later years, like, I'm just saying, they've been doing this for
Forever.
years.
Yeah.
It's hard to almost, they don't want to change. They feel comfortable being the way they are. And
Mhm,
then all of a sudden, you're the problem because you
mhm.
don't want to accept them for who they are. So it's really an eye opener. And like I said, they have to want to change. And for me, I would take my losses on that. And the reason why I say that for me is
Mhm.
because I don't like to be smothered, right?
Mm.
I don't like somebody to call me 24/7, to continue like blowing up my phone. Why I didn't call? It's just something that for me, when
Mhm,
I get into that, I want out, right?
mhm.
And so I can't be with a needy person to that degree. To that degree, everybody want somebody to need them.
Right.
Why we have a relationship then, right?
Correct. Right.
But it's to that point where something has happened in your past
Mhm,
where now you're not only needing me, but you're clinging on to me.
mhm.
And I don't have a problem clinging, because the Bible say, leave
Leave
your
'em and cleave
parents
'em. Leave 'em and cleave 'em.
and cleave. But
Mhm.
it's cleave to the point where I am now hype, and I've seen this. I'm hyperventilating and I'm getting nervous because I haven't heard from the person. And I'm not talking about you haven't heard from the person all day. I'm saying the
Mhm.
person just left the house and went to work, and you're still fidgeting because the person haven't texted you, or you text them to just ask them a random question and they didn't respond right away.
That you coulda asked while you was in their face about 5 minutes ago. But, you bring up a good point, and I think people have to consider their excuse me, their actual personality
Yes.
relate relationally. Um, it's like working somewhere that just doesn't complement who you are as a human being, right? Because you do have some environments where there is this high requirement for them to be in your face all the time. That's just this particular position in this particular organization. Then you have another organization where they never say anything, so you never know what's going on. And then you have the other organization where there's this beautiful happy medium where you have to be accountable and things of that nature. You have your level of autonomy, things of that nature. However, you do have to be accountable because you have a level of responsibility. I mean, let's face it, they are compensating you for producing something. Whatever problem you were hired to solve, they expect you to solve that particular problem, whatever problem that you were hired for, right? And so when you think about that and you put things into perspective, you have to ask yourself, and I think a lot of times, and I told somebody this in the coaching session, if you look at work, at where you work at, and you really think about who you are, do you like where you work at? If you don't like it, why specifically don't you like it? Well, every time I turn around, my boss is in my face. Well, that means that a relationship like that will give you the same type of feeling that you feel right now. So sometimes I think people just have to really process their big picture of what works with their specific personality, because what one person might deem as needy, another person might say, well, I enjoy the camaraderie. I enjoy when they leave the house in 10 minutes, I know I'm going to get a call from them. I enjoy that, right? So somebody is going to enjoy that, those type of behavior patterns, whereas another person like myself and yourself, we will be looking like, let me go ahead and cut my losses right now, because you got too many requirements and you need me too much and too often, and this is not, I'm not enjoying this journey. Some people, like, they literally need to work in a place where they're micromanaged. They need somebody constantly leading them, right? Whereas somebody else, they don't need, you can give them whatever the directive is
Yeah.
and guarantee that whatever you ask them to do, it's going to be done.
Yeah.
No questions asked whatsoever. You never have to go back and make sure that they did it. However, person A, they need you in their face. They just, that's a part of who they are. And it could be their upbringing, it could be a character flaw, possibly. However, it's all predicated on what actually works for you as an individual. But I like the way you said that sometimes you just have to say, nah, this is just not going to work. There can be all these different elements of what does work, but the bigger picture is, if this is a problematic enough now, it is going to heighten later. It's not going to get better. It's going to be worse.
No, absolutely. And you do it with respect. I mean, you can cut
Absolutely.
your losses. You can, I wouldn't
Absolutely.
even say cut your loss. You can walk away from any situation.
And
As
it's
long as
not
you,
even a loss, really.
no,
It's a
it's
determination that this particular situation is not going to work for the greater
absolutely,
good of who I am and who you are. So that, you're right. That's definitely not a loss. It's just a decision.
absolutely. And that's why you have to know yourself, right?
Right.
Because you have to know what's gonna work.
To
Like
thine own self
like
be true, Taylor.
huh?
To thine own self be true.
Absolutely. Like, and guess what? All the stories that I've heard
Mhm.
about relationships that I saw the signs. Well, if
Mhm.
you saw the signs, why didn't you
Then why
listen?
you didn't take the exit?
Oh, I
But
saw
why,
it
I
going
saw
on.
the sign. Why you didn't take the exit? And you saw the sign 2 miles ago. The sign told you 2 miles ago that this is gonna be your exit. And then the next mile that you took, there was another sign that said your exit is coming up in 1 mile, and you still in the left lane, and the exit is on the right. Why did you stay in the left lane? You
Some
saw the
people got
sign.
flat tires. Some people was changing tires on the side of the road, and they
Listen,
still kept driving.
listen. When somebody says that they saw the signs and they kind of stayed plugged in, I just look at them a little concerned, and I'm like,
Yeah,
what what is going on with you that you there's a big old exit right there,
yeah.
and you chose to stay, and then have the audacity to make it seem as though that person did something. That person didn't do anything wrong. You made a conscientious choice to
To
stay
continue,
present with them.
100%. And that's the thing, people tend to not kind of own
Oh, absolutely.
their part. I'm not
Absolutely.
saying the whole situation. I'm saying your part. Your part. Own it,
Right.
man.
Right.
Own it.
Right.
I get very passionate about that because people don't want to own their part. If you saw the sign and you went ahead and did it anyway, own that part.
Yeah, instead of saying I saw the sign, say that when the exit came up, I intentionally stayed in the left lane because
Yeah.
I didn't want to get off.
ab-
And for whatever reason you don't want to get off. It's a no, when I do coaching stuff, it's not judgmental. If you decided that you wanted to stay present in this, there was some type of benefit that you were taking advantage of, okay? So that makes you might have crossed over into a little narcissism, okay?
So here's
Just
here's
a
the
little
thing
bit.
though. Look, just own that. You wanted the benefit.
Yes, you
Own
wanted
it.
the benefits. There was something there that was you were absorbing, you were receiving. It was something that was whatever it is. It could be a physical thing. It could be tangible as far as resources are concerned. It could be some type of status thing to where there was this level of exposure that you normally would not have had you not been connected to this particular individual. It could have been a number of things, tangible or
Absolutely.
intangible. The person could have been the type of you could have had the type of person that always made you feel amazing, always gave you that feeling. However, those other behaviors that were just driving you absolutely bonkers,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
chose to act as though those things didn't exist because you had some other thing that was beneficial to you. So you act like those other things didn't exist all the while they were present with you, but you act like those things didn't exist and you could benefit from the other stuff. But you
Yeah.
ain't gonna tell the truth about the whole thing. You're not gonna just come out and say, you know what? As a matter of fact, that's exactly what happened.
It's unbelievable, but like I said, people like to point fingers, and that's
Right.
why these name calling come about, because they feel, I'm gonna do a low blow on you.
Mhm.
We got in an argument, and yeah, this person elevated their voice, so this person is a narcissist. What? Like, come on. It's getting ridiculous.
Mhm.
And for me, I just shut it down. Because we're if we want to nitpick, I can pick something about you that you're a narcissist in,
Listen.
and
If
call it.
you want to be nitpicky, we can do it, honey. We can go back and
Absolutely.
forth all day long and find something that some type of defect. You
And
know,
it might be more.
and let's just face it. We all have something that we need to work on.
Absolutely.
Whatever that something is, right? So, and that's going to be as long as we're human. There when somebody, gives off this vibration that they don't have anything to work on, that's a person you need to get away from.
No,
Because
absolutely.
everybody has something that they need to work on. Every single human being has something that they can improve upon. If this person got a whole lot of somethings that they need to improve
Yeah.
upon, then that just may not be the person for you. Now, mind you, somebody else with a different type of personality, they'll welcome them with open arms and have absolutely no issue with the other things that you found or you took issue with. So, you know what I'm saying? It's like I think sometimes we hold on to stuff, like I said, because of the benefits that are attached to it, knowing that we have no connection to the person that we're benefiting from.
No, absolutely. And I know earlier, and I feel compelled to say this,
You feel
Tea
compelled.
Coffee. I feel compelled to say this because I'm on a journey in the faith walk.
Yes,
Some
yes.
followers that's faith walking, and they might be looking at this segment and saying, you know what, this is not godly and it's for me. And we have a lot of narcissistic preachers in the pulpit,
Mhm.
um, that we got to be cognizant of too. So I just wanted to bring that up. I know I talked about
My
politicians and
lord.
what have you, but
My lord.
we got some some people that's full of themselves too. I just wanted to throw that
Oh,
out there.
absolutely. Absolutely. Listen, I'm gonna plead the 17th on that one. Just not even the 5th, but the 17th on that one.
Hey, look, you know what? Like you said, right? For me, I just speak what I see and how I feel.
Baby, I done seen some of the sons and the daughters of Zion, and you just be like, "Oh, you just in public doing that? You just out here, huh?" But
And
listen, and some of them have very huge followings and very
oh,
loyal parishioners who don't even care that they have those patterns of behavior. They just they don't even care at all. It don't matter to them. So,
and
you know,
and they could be very needy too, but
yeah,
we not.
that's a whole nother that's a whole nother situation. Not a situation, but a situation. For real, for real. I ain't even look, I'm not even gonna open up that Pandora's box with you and sit in there. I ain't gonna do it
Mhm.
because, honey, listen, you said a whole mouthful then. But you know what? Taylor, I think, we're getting towards the top of the hour, but I really do think that we have to really get to a place where we self educate as far as about us as an
Abs-
individual.
Absolutely.
And I think the more educated we become about who we are as an individual, we will be able to actually see without necessarily engaging that this particular person and scenario is just not going to be something that works for me. It's like back to the job thing analogy, right? It's like how much money you need to earn to sustain your livelihood, but you choose to go to a position that's $30,000 less than what you need to earn because you just want to go to work, right? However, that's never going to help you to get where you need to be. You're still going to be in a deficit. That's how you have to look at it relationally when you meet that person who has a portion or a percentage or a little bit of what it is that you're going to require relationally. You're going to keep yourself in a deficit. You're not going to be able to have that full fulfillment relationally that we all desire. We all desire to have a fully fulfilling partnership with some other person. That's not gonna manifest if I'm sitting up here in a deficit all the time. That ain't gonna happen.
Absolutely. I just, it's just one of those things where we just have to, you focus on yourself, man.
Yeah,
You know, I think that, yeah, if relationships didn't work for whatever reason, it didn't work. Learn from it, learn your lesson, and keep it moving. There are
absolutely.
some relationships that I say, "Ooh, I've dodged the bullet 100%." Now, do I call them names and narcissism and all this kind of stuff? No, I don't. I've learned from my mistakes. I've chalked it up. I thank God that I'm out of that situation, and I
Mhm.
keep it moving.
Right,
That's it.
right.
Granted, there's some people that's out there that have done you horribly wrong. I
Mhm,
get it. I understand it.
mhm.
Just keep it moving.
Right.
Thank the good Lord that you made it out.
And always remember that it could have gone in a very different direction.
Absolutely.
So definitely, like you said, have that gratitude to say, you know what, I am super grateful that this dissolved the way that it did and it didn't go in a different direction.
Oh, you know what? I want to challenge everyone that's watching this program. I want you, if you're in a relationship with your partner, your spouse, your significant other, I want you to ask them, do they think you're needy?
Oh, and when you ask the question, just like the four agreements, don't take it personal.
Absolutely.
It is what they're experiencing with you relationally. So don't take it personal. And if you got to make some adjustments, make the adjustments. Because and that's one of those, and I'm glad you mentioned that, Taylor, because that's one of those hard questions that people are very apprehensive about asking. The hard questions. What is it that you feel like I can improve upon? What is it that you feel like I can do to add more value to our partnership? And don't shy away from what it is that they say that you can do to add value, because if you think about it, if a person tells you that, that's what they that's what they really want to experience with you.
Absolutely.
That's what they really want. So you don't go get the information and then sit there and say, "Oh, I ain't gonna do that." Well,
Well, not only that, if you want some brownie points, I'm gonna throw this out there. You
throw
know,
the points out.
look, I'm gonna just do, look. If if your
Taylor,
woman
you
be like,
wild.
hey baby, do you think that I'm needy, fellas? You need to just say, nah, baby, I don't think that you're needy. I just love the fact that you need me.
I'm done. I'm so done. I can't. Rhonda said she got to go on a 3-day fast and consecration before she asked that question. She like, I might come out of the whole bag if you tell me something crazy side. I'd be like, you need me to do what? Oh my God, that's so funny. That is funny. But that's a good question to ask, am I needy? That's a great question. But I like your response to say, "Oh, babe, no, you're not needy. I'm just glad you need me."
Mm.
I'm gonna use that one too. I'm gonna use that on my I'm gonna use that too, Taylor. That was a good one. It's BS, but it was good. It was total BS, but it was good. Okay. Well, listen, everybody. Listen, our time is up. This hour went by so fast.
Yeah,
It's always a fantastic conversation. We're having Tailor Made Speaks in the building with us. Every now and then we have the bigger panels and all that kind of stuff. But I like the intimacy sometimes to kind of
yeah.
connect and have a good dialogue. Not that we don't have good dialogues when we have a panel, because we get popping when we have a panel. But sometimes it's fun to just kind of chat it up a little bit and kind of talk a little bit more candidly about areas relationally that we can make adjustments and changes for the betterment of our partnerships with our purpose person. So, Taylor, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Again, it's always great to have you in the hot seat with us. Guys, listen, if you want to connect with Taylor, let me go ahead and put his information up again. Hit him up on all social media platforms. And here is his website if you want to stay plugged in and connected to him. If you want to stay connected and plugged into me, here is my information as well. So you guys can definitely connect with us, follow us, like us on all social media platforms. We always have really, really good content outside of the segment. We do other things that can be of tremendous value to you and your household. So definitely connect with us. Check us out. We're both certified coaches. And so we can definitely add value to you relationally, as far as supporting you in your journey in your purpose person. So hit us up, let us know how we can be of assistance and of value. And until next time, grace, peace, and blessings. Good night, everybody.
Good night.